this Mark's Reviews and Tutorials video. I'm going to show you today how to polish your car. If you look here, you see these scratches. I've got a mark just over the rear wheel here. That's just scratching right into the paint. I've got some marks here where a dog jumped up on the car and stuck his claws in. You can see clear scratching there. I've also got a dull spot here. This is a dodgy repair, but I've just rubbed that back down with a bit of 1500. It was actually old 1500 sandpaper, so it's still nice and smooth, but I've just rubbed it off. There's got touches of touch-up paint in it, and I just knocked it all flat. I'm just going to polish that, but I want to show you how you can even buff rough edges and restore your polish back with a polishing machine. Now, the polishing machine I'm using is a really cheap one. Have a look at this. I'm using my existing electric drill and good old Makita. This thing's lasted forever. And just a polishing pad. So there is a really cheap, I'll put a link in the description through to this, just a polishing pad. It's a bit soft and flexible that goes into a drill for little touch-up bits. I don't know how to attempt to polish a whole car with that. I have another thing for that. I bought, again, this is not expensive. I'll put a link through to this one as well. If you're going to do your whole car, that's a polisher for doing that. And I'll show you, there's a different polish too. What I'm doing to start off with is just the touch-up. When I say touch-up, I'm talking about spot polishing. So when you've got some scratches where you're going to need to get into it a bit and give it a bit of a work in order to restore it, that's when this comes into play. And polishes are really important too. This one here, cut and polish cream. So this is a thicker, it's in a jar. So if we open that up, you'll see it's actually a paste or a cream. That's what I'm using for the touch-up. It's a cut and polish. This one is liquid polish. It's a liquid, you can hear it. And it'll come out, it'll squirt onto the pad if I want to use it that way. This one I use with the one I showed you that I haven't pulled out yet, the big flat one for going over large areas and polishing your whole car. I'll make another video about that. I'll put a link up here when it's done. That's the liquid polish. But this one's a bit tougher. This is when you're wanting to actually go a bit harder and cut in a little bit more. That's this go at polishing their own car and try and take some buffs and scratch marks out. I mean, hey, I think it's going to be super expensive, but this kit here is not at all. It's under 20 bucks. It could even be under 10 bucks because you're not having to buy a motor or anything like that. But also because you think you're going to burn a hole in your paint. But most paint, as long as it's in good condition, is actually pretty tough. And this is actually going to help it out. So we're going to give it a bit of a rip, get going, and clean this up. We're ready to go. Application's really important. You don't want to scratch your car, you want to polish your car. So of course you've got to make sure the car's clean, make sure if you drop this in the dirt or anything like that, you've got to thoroughly wash it out to get all of that out. You also need this pad to be wet. So you wet it first because it'll then hold the polish a whole lot better and do a whole lot better. And then with the polish, one of the big mistakes people make is that they'll put way too much polish on. It flicks all over the car and makes a really big mess. If polish gets on black surfaces and things like that, it is really hard to get off. So don't go doing that. What I've done here, I've wet the pad first and then this is the cream paste, just a bit on my finger, and just wiped it in and actually get it to go into the foam a little bit. Work your way around. And this is damp. And as I'm polishing, if this dampens off, I've got a little container of water down there, I'm going to wet it again and keep it moist because it works much better when it's moist. Okay, so you can see that scratch there. I'm going to just start off and give it a go. As you can see, just a touch, and have a look at all the excess polish that came off. Just a touch. Let's have a look and see what happened. Pretty much gone. There's just a little bit of it here. But outside of that, the main body of the scratch all up here is gone, so just a little bit more there. Again, when a scratch is that way, you can put your disc, if it's rotating like this, it'll sort of go with the scratch, or you can also run across the scratch. Because of scratch, I actually wanted to run across it. So I'll come back and give that just a little bit more, but you can see how incredibly easy this is to get scratches off. That's just getting that polish back. Okay, now that's gotten dry, so that needs some moisture on it again. But let's see how it's looking. Again, be very important, if you're putting that polishing thing down in the dirt, don't. You've got to keep it clean, otherwise you'll just introduce scratches. Yeah, that's done. That scratch, all of the big mark that was really obvious, is gone now. So there you go. We'll move on to the next one. This is actually bird poo damage, and I've never gotten to repair it. I've just put touch-up paint in to fill it, then I just got a bit of light sandpaper to clean it off. And I mean, this is probably the reality. It's a work car, so it hasn't had as much love as it needed. But now that I've dulled off the paint with that very fine sandpaper, I'm going to see what we can do with the polish to make this disappear as much as possible, because at the moment it's standing out a lot. Sorry about the wind noise. Okay, here we go. Let's see what that first lot of polish did. Sprayed all over the bonnet. That's okay. Now, so you see, as far as the dulled off paint went, you can see how much restoration that's done. That's really a fantastic result. I'll go again. And gee, it feels different too. It feels a whole lot better. That'll make that a whole lot less noticeable. This whole bonnet I will polish as well, but I just wanted to do all of the spots first, and then we'll go over with the other machine and do the whole car. Okay, so this is a bit late in the video, but what I've been doing to moisten this when it gets dry, I've got just a flat container. It's an old milk container with the top cut off it, and just wring that out a bit, and then just give it a... That flicks the water out of it. And then the polished. Let's be honest, you should have gloves on, but whatever. That's enough to go around the absolute whole thing and rub it into the foam. Otherwise it'll just all flick off. So moist for lubrication, rub it into the foam, and then you're ready to take it over the car. Put the lid back on that too, because the wind can dry it out very quickly. The friendly dog paw scratches. Here we go. Rub down, see how it ended up. Now, of course, you can do this by hand if you want. It's just going to be an awful lot more effort. Yep, almost gone. Little bit there, so just a little bit more work. This is why I'm using this spot method rather than just the whole thing, because that's no good for... That's great for, you know, smoothing the whole thing off, polishing the whole lot. This, though, is what you do when you're getting scratches out. Just a little bit more there and it's done. Really simple, really quick, and then we'll go over and do the whole car.